Welcome back, everyone, to the League of Legends Championship Series studio here in Cologne. I'm sitting here with Leduc, who is involved with Dragonborns. So how exactly are you? What's your function with Dragonborns?
I'm the coach of Dragonborns.
So are you the person that calls all the shots, or?
No, I'm a supportive element. So I do data stuff, I do replay stuff, and I give them like information to work on, but I'm not the person who's doing the shots. Everyone does.
Everyone takes the shots and now makes the shots, excuse me. And like Dragonborn started off pretty strong in the season with some good strats, some innovative strats, but then it kind of went downhill. So what initiated that?
I think LCS is can be very frustrating and exhausting because of the travel. Now at the moment we have 2 students, and it's very difficult to uphold school, travel, and LCS. And I'd say over the weeks you could really see this having an effect on the team overall. But yeah, I guess that's it.
So you decided to mediate by doing some changes in your team, some roster swaps. In hindsight, were they the best changes?
Well, I'd say in our current situation, I'm really glad that we have Maluna back. He is a great person and a great player. And we had our trouble, but I'd say with our current setup, I'm very happy.
All right, very happy also with what Yamato brought to the team instead of Spontex. That was also a point of discussion.
People haven't really seen the true strength of Yamato, and they probably don't see it as an outsider because Yamato is a strategist. He makes a lot of level 1 calls, he does strategy, he works great as a team and makes calls, and I'd say he's a very valuable part of the team, and I wouldn't want to miss him.
All right. Now, last week, you guys were kind of down and out. We saw them with the hats on before the team, going with that Lulu top. And then this week, just again, strong performance, even though you didn't win. Standard picks, good play. What changed in this week in between?
First of all, I guess I have to say Lulu top is not a troll pick. Even Koreans are playing it, even though it kind of went a little bit unfortunate. I'd say the reason was we prepared really hard for the AAA game on Saturday. We kind of got dominated, and everyone was very let down. But we had a serious talk, everyone went back together, and yeah, I'd say at the moment the team spirit is at an all-time high, and we are working really hard, and I guess you could see it in the Gambit game that we were really trying our hardest and had a decent shot at it.
Absolutely, focus on the positive. So what are you going to do so we can see you in the second half of the LCS here?
Well, I guess there's a high chance we're going to end up in relegation matches, even though I guess we're trying to work against it, but I guess we have to face the fact that we might play in them. And I'd say we're going to prepare really hard. If we are 7th or 8th place, we'll end up having a bye week before the relegation matches, and we're going to boot camp and train really hard. And I think we're going to end up playing Each Makers, and we defeated them before, and we're probably going to do it again.
Strong words here. Thank you very much, sir. Now, it's time for our next match. It's going to be Against All Authority versus Gambit. And our commentators for this one are Joe Miller and Jason Kaplan. Ready to dive into the action, guys?
Definitely ready after the performance we saw from Dragonborns earlier on today against Gambit. Now, obviously, this game is still very much a bottom-of-the-table clash. I mean, we've got a very difficult... for me, a difficult game coming up for both sides. I mean, Against All Authority, they're down there. Gambit, they've gone to the top, right. But they've also just seen that Fnatic have, been beaten by Evil Genius, and I'm kind of wondering if that's going to have an effect on Gambit now, whether like, ha, we're top of the league now, and whether they'll back off the pressure a little bit. But obviously, the last 2 times that these teams met, Gambit came out victorious in both of them, and Against All Authority really need that upset today for their league. And let's not forget, of course, that Against All Authority are playing with a different roster than we've seen for most of the season, with the new addition of a new support dude.
Yep, and like you said, Against All Authority are currently 6th place in LCS and really need to keep picking up wins just to hold on to that spot because the Giants are nipping at their heels at this point. But the whole identity of Against All Authority has really changed over bringing Diode into the team. It's like he brought a new breath of fresh air into the team. They're playing a lot more comfortable, a lot more as a team together. I have to say it, that every lane is just like, I can relax. I can have fun for once with the game. And because of that, they're all improving just in their entire play style. And, we'll see if they can really go up against the real test here against Gambit. Like, because Dio come into the team, this is the real deal maker. Like, this is the real game you have to perform, or it really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, we can talk about Dude's performance up till now, all day. It's been 3 games at the end of it. He is leading the top of the standings in terms of KDA, which after 3 games, yeah, we can talk about. He's done great. He's got himself up there. The other guys have played between 20 and 23 games, I think, by now. So it's not completely fair to consider, the KDAs of both teams. One thing that we definitely can consider, though, is the fact that they have met these 2 times before, and that Gambit have won them both. Yeah,
and so far Gambit has won, like you just said, every single time. But, now that they're in first place, they want to hold on, just like you're saying, if they're going to feel a little bit comfortable in that position, or maybe they'll be able to, hold on. Well, I mean, we know Gambit. They're always a team that can do that, but they're always a team that can, out of nowhere, just surprise you at how bad they play. I mean, it's kind of a truth, but, I'm expecting this late in the season they're going to be playing on par as we're used to. But now Gambit, they're 6-1 in the past 2 weeks, and they look unstoppable. They're really fighting and really trying to hold on to that first place, and we'll see if anyone can bring them out of that position.
Well, we are getting late on in the season, of course, so if there's a time for both or for any of these teams, all 8 of them really, to step up, this is probably the time right now. And, staying in first place is the main aim for Gambit Gaming in this situation. So with all that said and done, let's have a look at how the 2 teams look coming into this matchup, starting off with Against All Authority and their top lane. We call him top lane just for the sake of having that top lane guy in there, but of course Freddy has been all around. We have, of course, Virtual in the jungle, Slayer in the middle, or the top, or wherever he's going to be this time around, and the AD carry in support of Nono and Dude.
And of course, over on Gambit's side, the red team for this game, Darren in that top lane, Diamondprox in the jungle, Alexich in the mid lane, and Genja and Edward in the bottom lane.
So before we hit Champion Select, we are going to be breaking down 2 key players in this game, starting off with the new support for Against All Authority, Dude.
And of course, Against All Authority has picked up 2 wins out of the last 3 games with him in these past couple of weeks. He's already played Janna, Thresh, and Lulu, and has shown his diversity as a support and how differently the team can play with this new kind of champion pool. Like you said before, he's currently leading Europe in the KDA rankings, which might be a little sign to Edward to try to take that away from him. But, to be honest, all of that doesn't really matter because this is the real test for him, and Against All Authority, their match versus Gambit.
Yeah, this is definitely his test up until now from the 3 games that we've seen. But of course, his opposite number in this one, he is 2nd in the KDA ratings right now. And if we know anything about Edward, he might want to change that here.
And not to mention, he currently has 56% of the All-Star vote for that support role. He's been an amazing support, but his aggression goes unmatched by anyone. And because of that, he always puts fear into the eyes of the enemy's bottom lane. It's the first time he'll be going up against Dude as well. And being 2nd on KDA right now, he has to play a lot of really aggressive. I talked to him beforehand. He has a couple of things already prepared to go for this. And early on, always plays a phenomenal support. He never has a bad game.
If you asked me when was the last time Edward had a bad game, honestly, I couldn't tell you about it. I kind of pride myself on statistics. I'm a bit of a scat man, or a stat man, as that should actually be. Statman Joe. Yeah, but I can't point out a point. I'm going to kill myself with this one. I can't point out a time that Edward has ever really played bad. So moving on away from that stuff, we took some time, as per usual, to talk to the players coming into this game. And while Against All Authority, as you could expect, show great respect for their opponents, Gambit in this case, Gambit seemed to have, a lot of confidence coming up Against All Authority.
I think that AAA is one of the weakest teams.
I don't think they are a strong team. The new lineup will not change anything.
Versus Gambit is going to be hard. In Gambit, the strongest member players is all of them. Actually, they know each other so well, they are very strong.
If they catch up their game, they can be threat, but I still think that we're able winning them.
It's a very strong team. I think it's one of the best.
We can beat Gambit with a lot of luck.
So there he, from an ever cheerful Nono. Even when it was said, him and Corralius weren't getting on that much, you wouldn't have ever noticed it from Nono's face because he is the man that always has a smile, and we'll see if he can make that even bigger with their game here against Gambit Gaming. Certainly not an easy one for them. We're going to get into Champion Select, but first of all, Jason, talk us through what we can expect from the bans and the picks.
You know, this is a really tough one because, at least for against the Authority side, you don't really know. Oh, you know who to ban on Gambit, but you're limited 3 bans only. So you always have a tough time choosing out the key members to take away. I mean, Kaz, we've seen Alexic do time and time again just how of a good player he is on him. But we do see already some bans coming in. Jarvan going to be taken away on Gambit's side, as well as Zed for against the Authority. They don't want to go up against Alexic on that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see actually Elise as their last ban, or maybe target a jungler here, because you don't want to, yeah, there's the jungler. You don't want to let Diamond get somewhat on a more of a comfort champion taking away that Nasus, but you're going to pretty much give him that volley bear if you don't want to take that away as your first pick. Yeah,
and we saw in our first game today, and we've seen it so many times in the LCS, why Kha'Zix is a smart pick against Gambit Gaming. Alex is an absolute monster with Kha'Zix. Anyway, final ban here for Gambit. They've already taken Jarvan out against Virtual Slayer, as they're not going to have the chance to play Diana here. So let's see what the final ban will be, and it will be a Varus ban against Nono.
Okay, and I want to see if Against the Authority picks up Volibear onto Virtual, but if they did that, like you just see right there, Thresh would have gone over to Edward. And remember, this is a battle between the supports. You have the highest KDA versus the second highest KDA right now. You know these supports want to play a comfort champion and really want to get kills on. And, you know, Thresh can be that for Dude, but we know Edward, Lulu can be his champion to really get some kills on. We've seen so many games in LCS so far where he would go unkilled and have like 5 or 6 kills to his name.
I think any support can be Edward's support to secure kills on. That's the point that he prides himself on. But the first pick's coming in, Elise, which we've seen already played from Darian. Now, right now they're hanging on Shen as well, which will be quite an interesting pick for me.
Yeah, because we have Darren who can play Elise. He's played him in quite a few different games, but he also plays Shen. And I don't remember Diamond ever playing jungle Shen. You have Volibear available to pick up if you want to take him. There's also Hecarim, which we've seen him do phenomenally well on him, but they certainly still are hovering over that. And if they do lock that in, we're either going to see, obviously, that jungle Elise or jungle Shen. I'm curious to see how well Diamond can do on either.
Well, he's certainly running the clock down with that Shen in there, and it will be Shen locked in here for Gambit, so we'll see how they're all switched around. Of course, could be Elise in the top lane, Shen in the jungle, or it could be Elise in the jungle, Shen in the top. Could be Elise in the middle lane and Shen in the top, or in the jungle. They're 2 picks. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that could really go anywhere for Gambit.
Yeah, it's very true. And the thing is, they left Volibear open, and that makes you think they did that on purpose. Like, there was a reason for that, because you know if Diamond has him available, him or Nasus, he's going to snatch him up. So against Authority, do they want to get baited into that? Do they want to pick him up? Maybe go for a different jungler, as it looks like they're going to be hovering over their AD carry and their top laner, well, top laner here, over on Renekton. So that's going to be a good pickup, as we know how phenomenally well Darren plays Renekton, but sending Freddy 1-2 against him on Elise might be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, and Freddy is, as you said, a very big Renekton player. Both him and Wicked have shown earlier on, I think up to week 7 or week 8, in fact it was a week in Lille, they both played mostly Renekton, or it was their most peak champion. Misfortune, again, very strong right now. Not really a surprise to see coming out from no one, especially with the fact that Varus will be banned out for this game. Gambit now with their second round of picks, currently sat, with Lulu or Blitzcrank. This is something in the game earlier on. The Edward, we saw how focused he was switching between both Lulu and Blitzcrank in that one. He actually was hovering over Sona here. Obviously, this is Alex this time around who's making that pick for them. So, interesting to see which support they end up locking in.
I can hear their team speak right now. Edward's just saying, Lulu. No, wait, Blitzcrank. No, Sono. No, Lulu. Just constantly over and over and over, trying to get him to switch champions for that support lane. And it looks like they will be locking in that Lulu. But who's their AD carry? That's the real thing. And I'm thinking potentially Kog'Maw. But as I say that, he does lock in the edge. I mean, because that's another one of his go-to champions is that Kog'Maw. And without Jarvan in the mix, you have that protection. Like, you cannot be dove on that easily. But they do go for that Ezreal. We do have Lulu as well, so bot lane is going to be very interesting. And now that leads Against Authority to have a really strong initiate since they have a Lulu. Like, you have Thresh if you can land a hook and get in there to really set your team up, but they might need someone else to really be that person to set up an entire fight for you, because you can't depend on those Thresh hooks every single time.
Well, of course, we're still waiting for a mid laner here and a jungler most likely coming out of Against All Authority. So, and that Volibear has gone through completely at this stage. The bear is still available, and there is an Orianna right now for Against All Authority, which, you know, with a Renekton, makes sense as well. He can get in there fairly quickly.
And more importantly, the Thresh. Because if you see him hook in, you put the ball on him, gives him extra armor, extra magic resist, which he's already tanking up as it is with the souls. But once he gets in there, it's like, hey, I'm going to put my cage down. I'm going to pull you all in with the Orianna ultimate. And you're not going to be able to get away. The downside is, though, they are lacking a lot of damage right now.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we don't often talk about with Thresh. We get so caught up in the whole hook that we forget that, you know, you can also activate it a second time and get straight in on top of them, which I guess with that Orianna ball on top of him would as well be a perfect way to start off a fight. The Volibear also was locked in there for Virtual in the jungle. Final pick here for Gambit is going to be a Karthus for Alexic.
Okay, well, I mean, that's a perfect kind of person to pick up when you know the enemy team's going to be diving in you. I would expect him to build a Rod of Ages. He needs to get a little tanky here because he wants to be in the middle of Against Authority and be taking this damage and really, obviously, put that Defile down, put the Lay Waste down. And that's a good person to pick up. Not to mention you also have a slow on top of that, so you can keep Volibear away from you, who Virtual is currently running that flash. So he wants to be able to grab someone, but it's pretty much at the point of who do you grab? You don't want to send Karthus into your own team, and you're not going to be able to get to Ezreal. You're most likely not going to be able to get to Lulu, so it's pretty much up to Shen or Elise, and they're going to naturally build tanky as the game goes on.
So run us through your favorites in this lineup, Sue. Lineups that we've not seen heavily from either team so far, especially this Shen for Diamond in the jungle.
Right.
Really not concerned, but really interested to know what he's going to bring to the table with a Shen.
And the same thing, like
as they do a last-minute switch, and it's going to be an Elise in the jungle.
Even more interesting.
Still, we've not seen too much Elise in the jungle for Diamond either.
Yeah, the only person that really runs from the jungle for Europe is Morden on the Giants side, so we'll see how well he works with this. But you look at Game 1 when Giants were playing against Gambit was playing against Dragonborns. They were all playing comfort champions. Now it's kind of switched up. Now we have Diamond on Elise, which we've never seen happen so far. Alex on, I mean, Karthus. He's a very good Karthus, but we haven't seen that too much in LCS this first split. Curious to see how well it works in the end, but you know, they're running double exhaust, which means if anyone does get into your team, they're going to be shut down completely. And when you have Against Authority who has 2 major damage dealers, and that's about it, if one of them gets taken out, then they're pretty much going to do nothing for the rest of the fight.
Well, interesting to see how this one all goes. You can see the concentration there for Against All Authority. Certainly could do with an upset victory here against Gambit. Which, you know, the interesting point about that as well is that Giants, who are behind them right now, but they're definitely not far away, Giants have had 2 wins against Gambit up till now.
Yes, actually, 3 of the Giants' 6 wins have been against, or 2 against Gambit, like you just said, and 1 against EG. So yeah, that's not a bad ratio to have. You know, let it be you only have 6 wins, but still.
So we're going to get into game here then. Against All Authority versus Gambit, our 3rd match here of Week 9 Saturday. Jason, talk us through level 1, because EG versus Fnatic was explosive at level 1. Can we expect something similar here?
I think if we're going to see anything like that, it'll most likely come out of Against Authority side to wait for Gambit to make a move, just like EG was waiting for Fnatic to come into that banana bush on the top side. So it's going to be up to them to really make the first bit of play, but as you're seeing, they're just kind of lining up. They're not really trying to be super aggressive here. And Against Authority doesn't seem to me like they want to go for that. They don't really have an amazing team for level 1 in terms of damage, but they do have a decent amount of control. And then on Gambit's side, you have a lot of damage with just Ezra, who can take that Q and just poke you down, not to mention his auto attacks. Karthus, who's going to be hurting quite a bit. You have a CC potentially to use out of Elise and Shen. So looks like both teams, instead of going for any sort of action, just going to go into their respective lanes, which we're seeing swaps happen.
Yeah, we will see Lulu Ezreal in that top lane up against Freddy by the looks of things, but we'll wait on that a little here. We can see that both teams really setting up that line defense. There was a ward put down by Edward in the tri-bush, and there will be one for Against All Authority just outside of the tri-bush there, so they get a little bit of an earlier warning should the opposition decide to come down and invade that bottom side of the map. But honestly, Jason, it looks like we're going to see pretty standard starts here for both sides.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that Gambit, they set their AD carry support, or AD carry and support top lane, which they weren't trying to do that to counter anything Against Authority was trying to. They just didn't want to go up against a Thresh and a Misfortune who hit level 2 before you will. So they're like, hey, we're probably going to lose if we go head-to-head against them, so let's send ourselves top lane, go against Freddy 1-2-2, and Edward might be a little upset by that since he doesn't get to work on the KD of Dude, but that is a smart choice for them overall.
Well, he'll definitely have his chances as we work through the game. We see Virtual here having the help of Dude and Nono to start off his red buff. We saw previously to that Alexic actually taking the Wraiths as his own, so he wants that little bit of a boost there in that middle lane as well. He's going to get back into the pattern here with Schleyer as well on Orianna. So this bottom lane actually for Darian, he's going to take a little bit of damage. Shadow Dash taking that level 1 for him. He gets over the wall.
And he also has 8% spell penetration, which, I mean, it's not really expected to see on a Shen, but it's going to help, I guess, as the game progresses on to do some steady damage, but that really will hurt him under his own turret, trying to get those last hits. I just seen just zoning him quite a bit, which is exactly what you have to do when you're against a ranged support. You have a really tough time getting any sort of CS, but now Virtual going to be taking his own blue here. Might try to make his presence known in the top lane, but he would be spotted going in from a ward.
So will we see any 3-men ganks onto these solo lanes, which, now that kind of thing we saw a lot coming into, I'd say up till around week 4 or so, and they just stopped happening.
Right.
People, really wise up to them. The early wards were put down to make sure that they were safe from that one. But with the fact that they started to fall out of favor, that means that at this point in the tournament, in the league, in the season, that you couldn't actually pull that out as a surprise package.
And it worked earlier on, as we saw. But the thing is, like, Fnatic kind of turned it around. They stopped it from happening because of the aggressive ping warding they put down, just to kind of delete any vision, so they could send a third person into the top lane to go for a gank. But we have Diamond. He's going to be coming around, it looks like, but he was spotted by a ward as he heads over towards this middle lane. And of course, Virtual, I mean, he's doing a smart play. He notices that there's a big mini wave pushing into his top lane turret, so he's sticking around just to make sure it doesn't take too much damage. In the meantime, it allows Diamond to just have free reign over his own jungle, or over the enemy jungle.
Yeah, actually, Diamond is right now in the Against All Authority jungle. I was just taking a peek down towards the walls at that stage. I'm interested to see, what Diamond brings to the table here with this Elise. If it's, a normal Diamond, then it's probably quite a lot that he's going to bring to play.
Yeah, he is the person to watch if you want to learn how to play a new jungler or learn about a potential new hidden OP jungler. And we've seen Morden do it. We've seen him do, quite well in a couple of times, though in the past couple of weeks hasn't been too strong on it. But we'll see how he gets his own little twist onto that champion.
So right now, the CS between those two solo laners, 13-8 in favor of Renekton. He's had a couple of waves pushed under his own turret. Has actually coming back to lane now with the Doran's Blade added into that elixir, and still got 3 pots from the start. Obviously, it was a cloth armor 5-pot start coming out of Shen. But here we go, Diamond coming back down into this bottom lane now. He's going to give a little bit of support to Darian so that he's got the freedom to maybe go back, but at least stop any of that damage coming onto the turret.
And the big thing is that whole CS discrepancy comes from Virtual sitting around in the top lane, allowing Freddy to get that CS, not to be too afraid about it. So with Diamond in the vicinity, Darren should be able to pick up a little bit of CS and really kind of catch up, as we see the hook missing, but that might be the key for them to go in.
Yeah, the hook landing there in on towards the minion, which was not exactly what they were planning for in that situation, but Diamond is still waiting off to the side. He has not made a move as of yet to show his presence, so let's see if that can lure Against All Authority in here. We can see the damage coming down from Nono, and if a taunt comes down from Darian here, that's when they could really open things up, as a hook is going to land. There is the taunt coming in on towards Nono. Repel comes down from Diamond, but can they secure a kill from this one? Both Diud and Nono have taken damage as the cocoon lands in towards Diud. Where are they going to go with this one? It looks like Diud will be the target as he flashes away. Actually, turn around here from Nono as well, as he puts down a good amount of damage to Darian. He will have to shadow dash back towards the tower.
That was a great play by Diud right there to block that cocoon that came in. We do have Virtual coming around from the side, trying to see if he can make a play happen here. He does spot Diamond going back towards the second tier turret, and might be able to catch him here over towards the blue buff.
Oh, and Diamond definitely not healthy at this point. Virtual gonna come around the side. We'll drop the fear in there. We'll fling Diamond back towards him. We'll chomp in. There's a flash over. And the repel at the last second for Diamond just about gets him away. That is the most ridiculous timing I have ever seen on a repel. I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead. I was like, where's the first blood sign? He wasn't dead. He repelled at the most amazing time from that one. Incredible.
My jaw is still dropped from that one, Joe. That was so well played by Diamond, showing how well he can put a twist on this Elise right now. What a great play, blowing the flash out of Virtual as well, so they know he won't be as effective in any ganks that will be happening in the next couple of minutes. But just wow, what a great start to this game.
Yeah, that was Micro is best, to be honest with you. The calculation that you have to do to get that going. I don't think he actually expected the flash to come over, and that's why he left it so late in the end. But what a play out of him. As Virtual actually having to come up here towards that top turret. Not going to go in there for the fling, but he's crucially saved that turret, at least for now. Against All Authority did take down the outer turret in the bottom lane, so they get the advantage on that front and on the gold front.
Yeah, because Virtual got Diamond pushed out lane so quickly, they were able to pick up that turret, even though he tried holding on to it. But so it's a great pickup for Against All Authority. They're up 500 gold at this point, but the top lane is being pressured quite a bit. That turret will be going down, so we're even now on turrets, and we're going to have those lane swaps happen yet again.
here is Blue Buff going to be giving over towards Alex Ich as well. We can probably talk a little bit now about the items as we start to develop things coming out. Actually, the CS, just to quickly touch on that, is very even across the board right now. There's only, I think, a 5 differences, the biggest that it is there in the middle and between the AD carries as well. So, mid lane start, Chalice for Orianna, Tia for Karthus.
And I love that you pointed out the CS, Joe, because Gambit, that's not what they usually do. Like, they're the ones to, you know, if they may lose, you know, on turrets or something like that, they'll always be ahead in terms of CS. So against Authorities, give them a run for their money. And the items being built up so far, nothing too impactful. Seeing the Chalice onto Schleia kind of, it doesn't worry me, but it intrigues me to see what he's going to go if he actually does turn it into Athenes and Holy Grail, or is just keeping onto it right now to keep up with Alex in that lane.
Well, Schleia is going to be gifted his blue buff here in just a second by Virtual, who's done most of the damage to that one. And that will give a blue buff to both mid laners now in this scenario. And finally, we're going to see AD carry support in the bottom lane. Wondering if Against All Authority might try and switch that up and put some pressure on the top lane onto Darian again.
I'm not too sure. I have to say at this point, Nono kind of, he isn't as strong as he would be early on in lane, as you see Edward just being super aggressive, but they're already getting zoned away from their minions, so that actually might come into play, but they seem pretty confident right now to go up against this combo.
And that's the thing about the hook. They've got to pull that Lulu in there who's going to get slows down onto them. And Ezreal's going to have a bit of a free time then to just be hammering away from the side. So we'll see if that's what they plan to do. As we are seeing Freddy coming down towards this middle lane. Virtual is there as well. So that could have ended up being 3 men coming into Alex. But he's playing very, very safe on his turret, which is kind of what you couldn't do as Karthus, you know? Stick there, throw out those Qs to pick up the CS as you go. Diamond coming down. Actually, Volibear is on this bottom side as well, as Gambit really start to push this lane back out.
You know, I like how you mentioned Alex just in his turret farming away, because that's not the type of player typically is. We do see the hook actually land on Edward. They are going to go in for this.
Yeah, they knock him back. There goes the box put down. Edward now in a lot of trouble as Virtual comes in from the side, but it's a bullet time from Nono that finishes off. And there is our first blood. 9 minutes and 40 seconds in. Obviously could have been a little bit different if Diamond's amazing repel didn't happen earlier. But right now, the Dragon had been started by Diamond. He's going to pull that out there. Does get a little bit of a reset, but looks like Gambit are going to commit to this one.
And they should be able to pick this up as well. We do see Thresh coming up the side. Virtual as well. They actually aren't able to get it. We do see the hook landing and do get it exhausted.
Wow, it actually flashed. No, sorry, Arcane shifted away from that one. And now Nono going to be the focus here. Repel coming down on towards Virtual. Can they lock him up? Dude is definitely not healthy at this stage as well, as Karthus is going to get right in there in the mix, but they can't quite get past that tower. The minions were just a little bit outside of range.
And you saw what happened right there is that they actually killed Nono before he got pulled all the way through with that lantern. Great job by them. They picked up Dragon, they picked up a kill, and they might be able to pick up this bottom turret as we see the rest of Gambit going to be circling around, potentially trying to pick up anyone else Against All Authority. But I was trying to point out, as we do see the Orianna ultimate missing in that mid lane, great flash out of Edward to dodge that.
Well, we say missing, but it really was about the dodge from Edward. I mean, that was a spot-on shockwave for all intents and purposes, but great reactions again from Edward to do that. However, that's not going to be enough for them to keep a hold of this turret. So that's Against All Authority going 2-1 up, but as is true to the whole style of Gambit, we saw that against Dragonborns. They were behind in kills to them, but they kept a stronghold on the Dragon, which really helped them out keep that gold in their favor. And right now, it's a similar scenario.
And the thing is, if you want to beat Gambit, you have to be able to beat them early on, but you have to be able to beat them as the game goes on. You have to be able to beat them in a team fight, and that's what Gambit excels so strongly at. And that's what I'm worried about against Authority, if they can, because they haven't had a lot of time with Diud, but it's shown promise. And we'll see right here if they have been working on that and have the potential to take them down in these team fights.
So let's have a look at the CS between the AD carries here. 86 to 77 in favor of Genja. Despite the fact that Nono got that first blood, obviously he did die straight away after that. And it's a 200 gold lead only for Misfortune. After all that is said and done, obviously the first blood really helping things out there. And that's given him that Vamp Scepter already now, comparing that over to the BF sword that both players have with the Doran's Blade.
And Genja is sitting on 1,400 gold right now, so when he wants to back pick an item, most likely that Bloodthirster coming up very soon, he will be able to have it in his hands. And I want to focus on something I've been trying to this whole time, is that Alex, he's playing Karthus, which hasn't fit his style lately. He likes playing, you know, champions that can assassinate the other team, that can get around into the other lanes and really help out.
Well, they can assassinate the entire team.
That's what I was getting to. Exactly, that's what I was going for. So his real big play of that is just to hit R wherever he is. It's a little bit different than his style, but we'll see how it works out, because we know how strong of a Karthus he is.
Yeah, definitely got that catalyst in there. So going up towards that Rod of Ages, which we expected, which you called early on after we did see those initial picks come out. The Chalice has now been turned into the Athene's Unholy Grail as a first item from Slayer.
I was really curious about that item. He's going to need that match resist to go against Alex, even with Diamond, who's going to be building a little bit of AP, as you see, has Sword Boots already. So it was a little bit of a curiosity item, but that will help with the cooldown reduction. They are going to try to contest blue here, and they might be able to get it as Virtuo's waiting on the sideline. There's nowhere to spawn the blue in that bush, though.
This could be definite interesting play coming out as Virtual going to get hit there by the Cocoon. There's the wall of pain coming down, and you see how much that slows a normally extremely speedy bear away. Virtual lost half of his health, but they did get away. The blue buff was, however, taken by Diamond. Had to smite it there to make sure it wasn't stolen. Yeah,
and that's the right call any day. And we saw something right there with that little bit of an engage. A problem that might arise for Against All Authority is the whole initiate. So we talked about, they have Thresh to go for that, but they potentially needed someone else. And with Virtual, he's going to be dependent on that flash. So he has a really hard time getting into the entire lineup of Gambit when they have so many slows. And dependent on that Thresh hook only might be the downfall of Against Authority in these fights because, it's Gambit. The chance of landing a good hook onto them are really slim.
Wow, Freddy actually going quite aggressive there on towards Darien. If we compare their items, Freddy at the moment already got that giant spell in with a longsword and still that elixir, by the way, from earlier on, which is up until now not used. Now, talk us through Darien's choice here, because he's gone for that Sightstone. We saw this from him in last week's play as well.
Yeah, last week it was a little bit different, the situation, because he was playing Elise against a Kha'Zix, so he wanted to deny that passive out of Kha'Zix, so we're seeing the blue buff contested. We'll get back to that in just a second, see if it does get stolen away, because it's a big deal if it does, and they do actually get it. But they do engage on a Diamond.
Yeah, there's a shockwave coming down. There is the repel once again, but Diamond's coming straight in on top of him. He uses the flash, but Orianna coming in. There is the Stan United from from Darien, and that's going to save Diamond again in a split second by all rights. He should have died twice now already here. And that's, again, just a testament to how quick Diamond is on the fingers. Repel, you're like, well, he's waited a load of time for this one. He's coming right back on top of him, and he flashes the instant he hits the floor.
And they didn't want to separate from each other because he could land on someone else and potentially get away, but that flash coming up just in time for him to hop over that wall. And that's, I guess, why he is the #1 pick so far, and they also are voting for the jungler.
Yeah, I can't agree with the public's choice up until this stage. There's definitely no way that I could say that Diamond is not deserving of that one. As Freddy going to come in here on towards Darien as well. Of course, knows that Stan United's not going to be up for him to move anywhere shortly. So let's go back to the CS once again, because it remains relatively close. Darien just gets stunned up there, but I don't think Freddy in his current state is too ready to be going underneath the turret of Darien at this point. So 105 to 96 in the top lane. Mid lane, Karthus, as you'd probably expect by now, especially since it's Alex Ich on Karthus. 163 to 150 ahead, so nice 10-12 CS lead there. 80 carries, though, Genja in typical Genja style has had more time to free farm up, and he will quite happily take that lead. 135 to 112 now.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can punish him in lane. You can pick up, you can deny him a little bit in lane, but he's always going to come back. He always is farming that bottom lane. Even in the first game versus Dragonborns, he was always off by himself, just picking up that extra CS, because he always is the thing late game that keeps him in. He's always the one that can make big plays for his team as the game's at the 30-40 minute mark, because he's been farming the entire time. And Joe, you talked about Darien a little bit in terms of items, and he has that Sightstone. And I was mentioning he's playing Elise last week, and we saw him play against a Kha'Zix, so he's used it to stop the Kha'Zix passive. But it's kind of just the play style of Darien, where he likes to be super aggressive, likes to always push his lane out. So with those wards, he's going to be a lot more safe. He won't get caught as much. And we do see Against Authority starting off Dragon here. They should be able to lock it down, because no one really on Gambit is in position to stop this, but we might see a fight come off the back of this.
Nicely done there. Is the wall of pain down. We see Alex trying to get involved on things there, but can't quite get the damage off. There's a Lantern to pull one back into safety as well, and a nice pickup from Against All Authority. They're still, though, behind in gold, but it's literally about 50 to 60 at this point.
Yeah, they're doing a phenomenal job of keeping in this game. We're all tied on kills. We're not tied on turrets at this point for Against All Authority, having that one turret ahead of them, but this is the new Against All Authority. We just saw the new EG come back to life and how well they play. This is what we've seen Against All Authority do these past 2-3 weeks.
And Against All Authority do now have their game in-house set up. We'll take a look at that sometime this weekend. Not going to spoil for when exactly that one's coming. But that, as we've seen, can really make a big, big difference in how a team can prepare for specific matchups. And this weekend is one of the easier weekends. I'm not going to say easy, because it never is, but easier weekends to prepare for specific matchups, because it's just 4 games a day.
Yeah, very true. We do have a pause coming in. Not sure exactly what will be happening, but as we do see in chat, there is a buggy keyboard. But Joe, this game, it's been relatively slow. I have to say, you know, in Gambit's kind of playstyle, they like being really aggressive early on, like picking up kills, like picking up early turrets, but Against Authority's been doing a great job of responding and stopping that aggression.
Yeah, and you have to give them credit for that one again. It's just I was talking about the whole gaming house that they've had the time to prepare specifically for this matchup there. And you can see Virtual is actually just hammering away on his keyboard. So a little birdie told me that doesn't generally fix things if you just, you know, smash your fist on it. Sometimes it works.
I think you try to turn it off.
That's how I always fix my TV. You know, just give it a smack on the side, and it always works again after that one. But actually, looks like it did work out in the end because we are going to be unpaused here, and we are going to get things going. So back into game. 17.5 minutes into this one. The gold 23.6 to 23.8 thousand gold. Gambit still got the lead here in this game. But with that last dragon going over to Against All Authority, maybe that will change at some point soon.
Yeah, Against All Authority is showing no sign of stopping right now. They've been putting down some good wards so far. They've been investing quite a bit of money into pink wards, as you see currently 2 sitting on Dude at this point. They don't want to go for an early Oracle just yet, but they want to deny that vision away from Gambit. They want to get control of that dragon like we've been seeing them do, and just keep this sort of advantage they built up. I mean, I say advantage, they're down a little bit in gold, but being down that little in gold against Gambit is always an advantage.
Is the blue buff being stolen away from Gambit game? And that's a big one. That's a big pickup for Against All Authority. I mean, it's gone over to No, which, you know, you'd maybe want it on Orianna, who then will have their blue buff either way. So it's a great pickup to deny that from Alex Itchy over with Gambit. Obviously, they had to smite the last one away to stop it being stolen. So Alex has now not had 2 blue buffs in a row.
Yeah, that's great control onto Alex as well, because if you keep denying away from him, he can't get that tier farmed up just as quickly, or at least he can't sustain as long in lane. He does have the Rod of Ages, so the Catalyst will be able to give him a little bit of extra, you know, mana and health in the lane. But still, the cooldown reduction on his ultimate, taking that away from him is key. He hasn't used it just yet, but you know, when he does, it gives you that extra window of like 20-30 seconds if you want to go for a team fight.
Oh, and here we go. Freddy actually going in on towards Edward. Stan United, Wild Growth, all used. And now Freddy, will he find himself out of position? Karthus ultimate gonna come into this one. Darian's right in the middle as Freddy is gonna finish off Diamond. Darian going low, has to flash away as the bullet time comes through. Genji gets stunned up and finished off by Slayer. That is a 2-for-0 for Against All Authority. And I was just about to praise them and say, how often do you see teams warding up the Gambit jungle and taking everything away from them? We hardly ever see that. We've hardly ever seen that out of a team against Gambit, and I definitely didn't expect it from Against All Authority. They're doing a fantastic job.
Usually it's the other way around, Joe. Usually it's Gambit's taking away your jungle the entire time, but they have Gambit. Because they stopped that early aggression from them, they forced them to play a little bit defensive, and it's allowed them to get in the jungle, it's allowed them to clear out some wards, and really get some engages that they know they're going to win, like you saw right there. That was such a great job Against Authority, knowing that Alex was not there because he didn't have the mana. He had to go back and get it all back to come into the fight. Just a perfect engage. Freddy as well. That was a great call by him to go in and really start that fight. And even, you know, Darren, he got an amazing taunt on 3 members of Against All Authority, but as you saw, it just wasn't enough.
And now we finally see Against All Authority have the lead in the gold. And everyone is starting to claw back that farm. Look at No, 160 to 164 right now. He's a good 500 gold ahead of his opposite number. Genja, middle lane, 6.9 to 6.9, almost bang even. It's a 40 gold lead for Orianna. Still 20 CS behind.
Oh, wow.
With that kill and assist starting to come in.
Look what you see picked up on Orianna right now. Has a death cap, had so much money to back with. And if that fight, I mean, it was not one-sided in any way. It was still very close, but that might be the item that really turns things around.
So, turret low in the bottom lane. No, they try and get in there to stop. Alex Hitch doesn't quite get the bounce. There is the lantern thrown in for vision, and Alex forced to flash away from that one. And there you see the respect that the Gambit are having to give for Against All Authority. You know, some players would have just said, well, he's going to hook me at some point. I'm going to try and dodge it. Alex Hitch not even going to chance it.
Yeah, he definitely didn't want to go down yet again. I mean, he's already 0-0-1 at this point, 228 CS. It's a lead, but it's not as big a lead you would expect on a Karthus here. But, you know, Against All Authority, they're doing a great job of shutting them down as well because they're keeping on these lanes. But you see Diamond getting caught in the mid lane.
What a hook there through the wall. Diamond, he's going to last minute repel from this and flashes away again. What is this guy doing? He is incredible today, but can he escape finally? There's the slope through the wall. There's the Wild Growth, but the bear chasing in. And there is Misfortune. Flips him back. No will pick up the kill. And I thought we were going to see Diamond escape another one. This time, though, against Authority, lock him down, deservedly as well.
I was about to ask if he was a cat, because how many lives does he have right there? He already escaped twice early on. He almost escaped that time right there. Just phenomenal play. And, you know, we wondered how he's going to do on Elise, but we've seen just so far in this game. And from that play alone, even though he did die, he's a damn good Elise.
Yeah, he definitely has the skills to play this Elise. There's no doubt about that one. We still see Genja here farming up as typical Genja style, but it's only a 3 CS difference. There's the death cap coming into play. Alex taking a big hit. And that's in there with that Rod of Ages built up for that extra tankiness. And that against all Authority, look at the timing. They're already down at the Dragon Pit with 2 men waiting. Oriana's coming down. Misfortune is there. Gambit, I'm not sure they're going to be able to react to this one. Oh, it looks like they're coming, so it looks like they want to, but against Authority might set up a trap here. There's no vision on the Dragon itself. There's the Spiderling to come out and reveal where Dude was sitting, and Gambit say, well, you leave, we're going to go for the Dragon.
Yeah, this is the point in the game where I'd say the bottom 4 teams have a tough time realizing when they actually can pick up a win in a team fight. But we do have going for a hard push on that middle lane. They will be able to catch Gambit pretty much in a bad position. They're going to have to go around if they want to get in. Dio getting ready with that hook. Doesn't land it, unfortunately, but they will get a lot of damage on his turret. Not enough to take it up, but Darren is waiting. He is on that top side. He does have his ultimate available. We could see an engage happening here, Joe, and it is.
There is a box going down. Diamond right in the middle of them here, as we are going to see Shen taunting in on towards the AD carry. No, Shockwave will pulling Alex Hitch away from him. Darian going very low. Still no kills. Finally, Virtual goes down. Darian will die. Here comes the Karthus ultimate, which will surely force against Authority to back away. Freddy has to try and cover. Good damage from Slayer. Wild Growth goes down. The Wall of Pain will slow Freddy to a crawl, but the bullet time coming from the backside there of No. Is he going to look to finish off here? Does get the double up there at the end. Picks up the 1 kill, but he is going to be finished off, and that, a very messy encounter, leads to a 3 kills for both teams.
I have to apologize for that screen. That was very not manly, but that was such an amazing bullet time coming out of No right there, as he knew he was going to die, but bounced it right off Diamond into the face of Genja, picking up that kill. Still a 3-for-3 trade, but that was a phenomenal fight from both teams. A great engage out of Gambit, a great job out against Authority to try to go for that disengage. And we talked about before, is he going to go steal it?
Oh, he is going to steal it just about. Diamond actually came over the top of the wall there with the rappel, and you could see his team pinging on the minimap there, say Slayer, Slayer, but he got it in the end. And Diamond decided not to go too aggressive onto it. I mean, that is a very strong Oriana right now. We've seen how much damage she's been doing in those fights. A couple of big items picked up on the last trip home, though.
Yeah, we do see the Saracen Brace completed for Alex. He's going to need that. We see how squishy he is, like you pointed out earlier, even with that Rod of Aegis. That will help give him a little bit more pseudo-tankiness. Paired that up with Edward as well. And we see the last Whisper picked up on the edge right now. So Genja looks like he will be building into a Guardian Angels as his 3rd major item, but the damage he has out of that is still pretty high at this point. And then you have Diamond. He's building a little bit of damage, a little bit of tankiness. With that Lock of the Onslaught, gives him a nice cooldown reduction. But he also has a Haunting Guys on top of that. So you know he wants to go in for some good damage, which if he can get onto No, then they can pretty much eliminate one of their strongest damage carries, and that will pretty much give him a nice advantage in these fights.
Red buff going to be picked up there by Elise, as far as I could see. I'd assume it would have gone that way, as the hook is going to land here on towards Edward. He uses a Wild Growth on himself. We've got Renekton coming around the side. Ultimate on now for Freddy. They're going to try and lock down Edward with this one. There's the Shockwave bringing both Alex and Diamond in, and look at the damage. There's another last-second repel coming out as the bullet time. Not going to do too much, but they managed to kill Diamond off in the end. A 1-for-0, another great play out of against All Authority. They're backing off towards Baron.
And they keep doing this time and time again. You pointed out earlier how we've never seen teams get in the jungle of Gambit and really take away their own jungle, but every time they've done that so far, they've been able to catch Gambit off guard, been able to pick up some kills, really been able to get a nice little bit of a lead at this point. 8-4 up in kills, 2-1 up in turrets, but this is the real decider. Like we mentioned before, Gambit, they love to be a late game team, they love to team fight against Authority. They can't keep picking off 1 or 2 kills and expect to get anywhere. They have to start taking some turrets. They have to start maybe taking a little bit more favorable fights, or at least get enough of an advantage to get some major items completed where they're comfortable to do that.
Incredible matchup here. And if you look at the gold, it's 8-4 in kills, 2-1 in turrets. The gold lead, it's not massive by any means here. 600 gold currently is that lead for against All Authority. And we've seen teams have gold leads against Gambit in the past, but their whole teamwork, the whole amazing synergy that these guys have playing together has pretty much always shone through in the long run. Against Authority, going to have to show some great character to get this one going, as we are seeing here Freddy in that top lane. Diamond is actually coming around here, so Freddy might be in a little bit of trouble as Diamond is going to come in there. It's all going to be about a cocoon and whether they can land that one, which they will do with the thanks of a ward. But look at Freddy, he is pretty tanky right now with that Negatron cloaking on top of the Sunfire cape as well, and he saunters away with almost half of his health left.
Yeah, that was a great job. He didn't really get taunted by Darren right there, was able to escape, but still, in the meantime, they've by being aggressive on the top lane, they've allowed Genja to start farming up again on the bottom lane. He is still working towards, it looks like, that GA, but you can't really do that, and it's the point of, against Authority, like, do they feel comfortable enough to make the next big major move? Because it's coming up to them. Gambit isn't going to give them an opportunity to win these fights. They're going to engage only when they want to. And against Authority has to make some sort of play here to really lock something down. It might come around Baron. It might come around in the jungle, which it's been so far. But we'll see as the time goes on.
1 minute, 15 seconds for that next Dragon to come up. As Dude says, thanks for the 25 gold, Darian. Put that ward down there right on top of the blue buff bush. And that will be taken away. Edward now with the Oracle of his own. Gambit all around Baron here. I'm wondering if they're thinking this could be their major play to put them back in the lead in gold. It's only a 400 difference. That's obviously come down a little bit from the last time that I actually mentioned that one as well. So that kind of gives you the whole feeling that they are really at any moment being able to break this one back.
Yeah, and the thing is with Baron, I'm not sure that either team really wants to go for it because you're in such a tight cove, like in a confined area, where the Orianna ultimate's going to be extremely effective. The Shen Taunt's going to be extremely effective. The Lulu ultimate as well. Not to mention Karthus just sitting around, hey, you know, let that defile down the layway. It's going to be doing so much damage to you. So both teams are just really hesitant at this point to go for that, and that's really the smart play. They're allowing Darren to go for the split push on the top lane. They're going to force against Authority to react to this, and most teams don't know how to react to this split push kind of style.
Yeah, and that's one problem that a lot of teams have had against the top teams when they've gone for that style. As Alex here, going to get caught out in his jungle by Freddy, but can against Authority get in there. That is a very fast bear who will flash in. Stan United going to come down, but he's not going to be in there quick enough. That is bad news here for Gambit. Shockwave going to pull Edward in. He used Wild Growth. 2 kills for against Authority, and now Diamond caught out of position. He uses the repel. He will actually get away from the box just in time before it, well, just after it landed there. And that will be 2 kills coming down, 4 against Authority, but Gambit are still pushing here. Obviously, Darren did try and use Stan United to come back, but that won't be available to him now. Against Authority, turn to Baron.
And they're going to be conceding away a tier 2 turret for this, and he might not be able to even pick it up because Diamond is on the sideline. Genja as well. Diamond gets caught with the hook.
Oh, they come straight out there with the hook. There's another repel from Diamond. He comes in right on top of them. The ultimate out of Ezreal did good damage, but Diamond will die in the end. And against Authority, back on towards Baron, but Darian and Genja are both there. They can't do this one. They both, they all decide to back away from that one, saying, you know, this is not safe. But Gambit have all just spawned in here as Genja, the cheeky man that he is, just throws an extra Mystic shot in there. Will stop one-man recalling. Second one not connecting, and he decides, let's not get too overzealous with that one and backing off. But incredible game here so far between these two teams.
And over that entire engagement, if we think back to how it started, we saw 3 kills go for against Authority, but they lost that tier 2 turret in the top lane, allows Darren to push even more on that top side and really force some aggression onto that inhibitor. But they weren't able to pick Baron off of that. It was one of those plays where you need to be a little bit more experienced, I have to say, to know when to go for that Baron right there and go back towards a second tier 2 turret, because, you know, Diamond was available, Genja was available. You think you can take them head on or head to head, but they have great amount of poke to really chip you down, and you don't have a lot of damage on your team to get that Baron down extremely quickly. And Alex being forced to use that flash yet again, with that not available, that forces Gambit to lose a lot of damage in these team fights.
Yeah, again deciding that he didn't want to even risk being caught out there by the bear and the crocodile, and there is the finisher as the cocoon comes in, slice and dies away from the wall of pain as well. And we talked about Diamond's reactions in this one, but that was some great stuff from Freddy as well.
Oh, ooh, hook almost landing right there. And, you know, I love how we see up against Authority. So if you have a Volley Bear, we've seen like the Volley Bear Lulu combo work where you speed him up so you can get in there a little bit quicker. But with the Orianna pickup, you have that same ability where you give him the speed from the dissonance, and then if you put the ball back on him, you can pull everyone in to do pretty much the exact same thing. So that's how they kind of worked around that a little bit. But that top turret is looking, it looks like they want to go for it here, as they're going to be taking away red buff yet again from Gambit. But the top turret, at about half life at this point. And this will be a nice easy pickup for them in terms of gold.
Alexic did get a blue buff, which I'm not sure he knows what that is anymore. He's had so few of them in this game. There's Darian actually headed south, but look at that. We are seeing again Soul Authority starting to close in on towards his position. Virtual hammering away on the outer turret, but look at where they're coming from here. Actually, Darian may be in a lot of trouble here inside of that jungle. In the end, against Soul Authority, forced to go back towards the turret, and they've kind of gone half and half here. No, actually going to get hit there with that cocoon as the ultimate comes across from Ezreal. Genja going to be doing a lot of damage. The bullet time from No. Box goes down. Diamond is going to fall here. And in the end, there's kills all over the place. There's Slayer putting the ball back onto his own head for protection, but Gambit are ripping through them. Alex and Edward are both low, but we can't get Virtual right on top of him there in the end, and that will be a 4-for-1. Great play out of Gambit, and it was all about the indecisiveness there of against Soul Authority. Should we go for Shen? Should we defend mid-turret? In the end, they did neither of them, and they got sandwiched in the jungle.
That indecision will cause you deaths every single time. 4-for-1 in the end of that. Alex surviving by the skin of his teeth. Great play by Edward to really lock down Virtual right there. Not to mention the exhaust we saw come out, which really stopped his attack speed. It stopped his damage.
So, Baron has been started off here by Gambit. And it looks like they should have it without any problems. There's a big wave pushing on that bottom lane, actually, which, no, not the most big deal in the world. Not the most big deal in the world. Great English from me today. Not the biggest deal in the world for Gambit. That will be covered off by Diamond, and they won't lose that turret just yet. But that is a bit of a knock for against Authority now. You know, they were doing so well up until that point. They weren't able to secure the Baron off their last bunch of kills. And now Gambit got that, which, apart from the buff, is a lot of gold coming in. Death Cap now finished off for Alexic, for example.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, it's not really the Baron I think that they were really happy about getting. It was all that gold income, because with the Death Cap completed, a Blasting Wand over for Alex, you have the GA now done for Genja. It just provides you so much more damage in these fights. It provides you a lot more confidence in these fights. And against Authority, after that last team fight, I'm not sure if it was like, oh, you know, we just messed that up. It was a decision. We should probably, you know, try to maybe go for another team fight, or they're afraid now because they might have shaken their confidence.
Well, they need to get that confidence back somehow, because when they've had confidence in this game, they've looked really, really impressive, as did Dragonborns earlier on, which is just great signs for us here in the LCS as we approach our final Super Week at Week 10. There's Edward clearing out more wards. Actually, No needed to be a little bit careful there down on that bottom side. He actually went back into that bottom lane and away completely, but Gambit are now working their way towards that inner middle turret. We'll see if they can actually get onto it. Minion wave is going to come in there with them. There's a wall of pain put down. Cocoon will actually land onto Freddy. Probably not the target that they were really looking for, but they've got good poke here, to be honest, Gambit.
Yeah, they do, and this is the first time they've been so aggressive at all this entire game. And with that top wave pushing in, with them all 5 with that Baron buff in the mid lane, they might get a nice pull into Diamond, but I don't think they're going to commit to this.
He's got Repel, and we know that he can use it. He's shown that already time and time again in this one as Darian goes in. Doesn't commit to anything from that. There's a lantern thrown out by Dude. Will, against All Authority, try and fight a Baroned up team from Gambit. Not sure it'd be the best decision in the world from us. Virtual does get hit there by the Cocoon. Wall of Pain slowing him down as well. They're trying desperately to hold on to this turret here. Genja keeps going in for a Mystic shot and a cheeky couple of hits on that middle inner turret, but it's a matter of time by the looks of it for that tower.
Yeah, they've really been doing a great job holding on to so far. They get a pull now on Alex here, but really commit to it.
Oh, look at the bullet time into Shockwave. That was perfectly played from against All Authority. Can they get any more out of this one, though? They've not got any kills from it, ironically, after all that. There's the ultimate coming out of Karthus. Slayer will actually Zonya it. Oh my god! What a hook coming out there onto Darian. That completely saved Orianna for at least 10 seconds longer than he would have if that taunt would have landed. And that was just some incredible stuff. Gambit, I'm not sure how they did so well to survive that Shockwave bullet time combo, but you have to give every credit to everyone, all 10 players here. The clutch plays that we're seeing out of everyone is so incredible. As Diamond here gonna get caught out maybe by Freddy, decides not to go too aggressive onto that one in the end. Fantastic match.
I'm almost speechless after that entire engage we saw happen. I was like, they're not going to engage. There's no point, because they don't want to lose any members here and lose an inhibitor turn off that. They already have the top lane pushing, but the balls on against Authority must be giant off of that play. It was so well timed out. It was amazing. They weren't able to pick up any kills with that combo, but they got Alex so low right off the bat, he had to play a little bit more defensive. Ended up getting the kill in the end, but still, great play against Authority.
The fact that they pulled off that combo, which completely shocked me that they'd gone in there, but you see the ball go in, you saw No was there off at the side, and they synced it up brilliantly. Then that hook from Dude to pull Shen away mid-taunt was just, I don't know, out of this world, not to mention the diamond repels that we've seen so far in this game. A lot of highlight movie material, that's for sure, in this matchup. But let's get back into it, because against All Authority, they're not going to take any prisoners here. They want this dragon. However, they see the wards coming down, and they've decided to back away from things just for now. Baron buff, by the way, has now run out.
This should be an engage for them, because they know that Karthus' ultimate isn't up anymore. They know they have all their ultimates up on top of it. They can use the whole combo of the Orianna yet again, and they do not land the hook onto, actually on this was spider thing right there, but that would have been a perfect time for them to engage. And look at the ward coverage, which actually just wore off, is that Gambit had so much great control inside of Against Authority's jungle. It was pretty much flipped from what we saw earlier. And Against Authority, they seem to be like slipping away, but they still are in this game. They're still putting up great amount of fight in these team fights, and it's still anyone's game at this point.
Well, the hook landed on a spider. It was just the wrong one there from Dude. As Edward just scooting forward then, super speed with the Lulu, with the Oracle on, trying to clear things out. Alex is finally going to go back to that bottom turret, the outer turret here, which has lasted from Gambit's view surely far too long in this one. We saw earlier on, probably about 10, maybe even 15 minutes ago by now, that Alex was pushing that turret out. And Gambit here waiting for their minions to come around, may even go for that inner turret on the bottom lane. But we're getting to that point, Jason, the crucial point of 40 minutes where spawn times become so long that a bad fight for either team can end up being game.
Yes, that is very true, but at least for Gambit's side, if they keep fighting on the enemy side of the map with the 40-second respawn timers, they won't lose out on too much. But on the other hand of that, if Against Authority loses a fight on their own side of the map, they're going to lose an inhibitor. They even might lose 2 or even a Nexus turret on top of that.
Baron is up in 1.5 minutes time, and you have to feel that both teams are going to have to put a big fight up for this one. Against All Authority, can't afford to let another one go over to Gambit, and Gambit want to maintain that lead that they've got here. We see a Banshee's Veil actually being picked up from Nono, as Freddy and Diamond going to go head-to-head here. There comes the ball, and Diamond says, not going to have any of that one. I am out of here.
I have to say, the Banshee's Veil is really like an underrated item nowadays, when it has a 25-second cooldown on the actual spell shield of it, when it used to be, I believe, 2 minutes. But that should help quite a bit with the Karthus ultimate. The fights are going to last long enough where you're not going to kill Alex right off the bat, so you're going to obviously lose it, early on, but you might be able to get it right back up before the ultimate hits, saving you quite a bit, not to mention the taunt, the cocoon. There's so many things that's going to save you from, and we'll see how that works out. But, a big thing is, Alex has 700... I was about to say 730, but spiking up to 790 AP now over to Schleya's 491. That's a huge difference, 300 AP. We do see Darien getting caught here. He has a lot of health. He's extremely tanky. I don't really think they can take him down just yet.
Darien doesn't get caught. He does that voluntarily, as we see him there shadow dash away, and he's like, caught Jason, what are you talking about? As he actually goes in there, and he's drawing Against All Authority away from that Baron area. It's coming up here in less than 20 seconds time. Diamond's already pacing around impatiently to get that Baron started, and now finally they act on Darien and say, I'm going to go for you this time. But can Freddy pull this one off? He's got the Ignite running down. Darien, is he going to fall? Oh, he failed the shadow dash, but he had a flash, no problem. He gets himself through, but can he get away from No? There is Make It Rain, and one more auto attack. Oh, the double up will finish off there, and that is now a 5v4, and that is Stan United not available for Gambit with the Baron just spawning.
And on top of that, a minute respawn timer as well. Without that tanky Shen, they're not going to be able to really go head-to-head against Authority anymore, as we do see Virtual go for an engage. They're trying to catch Diamond.
He's flashed in there. Diamond actually will get a wild growth as a bullet time comes across, and right now, no shockwave coming in up until now. Schleya saving that one as a hook lands through the wall, and we see him go right in on top of it, the box onto Alex Ich. Shockwave was used, it hit absolutely nobody, but here comes the Karthus ultimate. How many can he get? Oh, he gets 2 of them there in the end. Actually, Freddy almost dying in the end to Lulu, and he does get finished off, and there is a double kill from Edward. Says thank you very much, dude. The ace comes out finally as we see Genja mop up the bear, and that, from what looked like an amazing initiation from Against All Authority, you have to factor in that Karthus ultimate. With how much AP did you say? 790, something ridiculously high. That is a lot of damage that you can't forget about.
even with Shen not on the map, you cannot fight in the jungle in such a closed area. Yeah, you cannot fight in a closed area like that because he was just sitting there in the team like, you know, I'm happy to be taking this damage. I'm happy to sit in the middle of your team because with that, with the ultimate coming in, picking up that double kill, picking up 2 more after that, and the ace, and now 20 seconds left on most of Against All Authority. They will be able to get an inhibitor turret off of this, even potentially an inhibitor where Genja, you know, he still has that J available. It hasn't been taken down yet in a fight, and if Gambit can keep protecting them, if Allison keeps staying in that front line, soaking up all that damage and putting out all that damage, Genja won't be touched, and he'll be able to just have free reign with that Infinity's Edge picked up.
So Darian has gone back to this bottom lane to push that one out. He now, of course, does have Stan United. I say now, he had it the last time that we saw him go down, but that was saved here. Slayer having to clear out this bottom wave that's been pushed in there as well. Baron, of course, is up, and Gambit already in position to be thinking about that one. In terms of gold now, they are 8,000 in the lead, so doing a good job on that front of things. As Against All Authority start to move in towards Baron. Are they going to go for a desperation Baron here?
There is always the potential for that, but being in that cove with Alex, who already has his ultimate almost right back up, is not going to be a good thing in the end. You have Darren pushing that bottom lane. It looks like they will try to go for it here, but I don't really agree with this move, though. If they don't go for it now, Gambit will be able to pick it up.
Well, they're going to risk this one. As we see the Spiderlings coming in there, Dude and Virtual are the ones mainly hitting that Baron. It's down to still about half HP, as that's a good wall of pain actually catching Nono and Dude as they are going to go in on towards Diamond. He again amazingly repels, comes right back down on top of him. Stan United going to come out here from Shen as the hook lands onto Genja. That was a chance to pop that Guardian Angel, but in the end they decided not to take it, to back away with what they've got. Gambit start Baron.
And we talked earlier about the indecisiveness of Against All Authority where they lost that first major team fight. The indecisiveness right there happening at Baron. We see the engage happening right now with the ultimate of Orianna.
Bullet time comes out in there as well. Here comes Karthus into that one though, and this is going to do another ton of damage. Flair has managed to pick off one. There is 3 men down now for Gambit, but can the rest pick the rest of those kills up there? The Baron, of course, was taken by Gambit in that one. Diamond going to have to jump up. There's the Zonyus used by Slayer, but here comes Genja. He's got that Guardian Angel, but will he stay alive long enough? And obviously that goes down, but can he get anything on the come up? Slayer just waiting on top of a ward, and he actually gets the kill there before the slice and dice, and Freddy takes him out. That is an ace for Against All Authority, but they did lose Baron, and Freddy just about survived. That was another crazy, crazy fight. I feel sorry for Demon and Quickshot having to break down things in this, because we might just have to play the whole game through again.
That would probably
That's how good it's been.
And I would happily sit there and watch it yet again because of how many crazy plays have been happening Against All Authority. What an engage coming out of Slayer right there with that ultimate, catching 3 or 4 members of Gambit and just dominating them in damage. In the end, it was an ace. Freddy, the last standing member for Against All Authority, but that was a much needed ace and a much needed confidence booster for Against All Authority, though. Slayer, I'm not sure if he actually should have really needed to die there.
Well, they killed them all in the end. They aced them, and honestly, does 1 kill right now make that much of a difference?
Well, I guess we'll never find out. I guess that's
smart answer, Jason. Well, yeah, of course he did die in the end. That leaves him at 7-4-14 right now. The big man, obviously, in terms of kills for Against All Authority, though, is going to be the AD carry, who's one ahead at 8-5-10. He's now got Infinite... no, he doesn't. I'm telling a lie. He's got Phantom Dancer, Black Cleaver, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, and a Banshee's Veil. Compare that over the other side. In fact, we'll do that in a little minute here, as we do see Dragon taken down by Gambit. But if we compare that to his opposite number, Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, gonna be a Phantom Dancer, I guess, from that Zeal coming out, as well as the Guardian Angel.
Yeah, that Guardian Angel obviously not gonna be useful anymore right now, at least for another couple of minutes until that does come back up.
He says 2 seconds after he said, I didn't think that Slayer needed to die. What? Which happened because of the Guardian Angel.
No, he ran back into the fight. But anyways, that's behind us. But still, Against Authority, one thing they have in their favor is that they can afford to engage right after a previous fight. Because of the respawn timers, Alex Itch's ultimate is on such a long cooldown right now, 137 seconds, that there is a window for them to fight and not have his ultimate up, which will give them a huge advantage in the fight. But Darren's still pushing that bottom lane right now. He's still going to be getting that turret, but we are going to see engage out up against Authority.
Yeah, they're going to fight for this one. Zonya's used by Alex Hitch, but the Shockwave actually missed everybody there. Let's see how that turns out in this fight. Darian and Diamond both very, very low. Diamond will be finished off there. Alex Hitch is dead, but his ultimate can still be channeled, of course. They got 1 kill for the 2. Shen actually came in, of course, to that fight, Darian, after pushing that top lane through as well. A 2-for-2 encounter.
Oh, Genjo's not like he's done just yet, though. He has Arcane Shift up, and he gets stealed.
Yeah, he gets absolutely destroyed when he comes in there. No, will reply, and he may even be able to pick off Edward here as well. Will he decide to keep going for that? His strut does come back up. No, actually pushing straight up the middle lane here with Slayer, so they're going to try to do some extra damage here on towards that inhibitor turret.
And this actually could be very big for against Authority if you see Darian's home guard of boots. But they have the damage. They have 2 of their carries alive. This turret's not going to stand a chance. And Darien, even though he has 4,000 life, won't be able to stand up against Nono and Shlea.
Well, he's got a Trinity Force in there as well with that Warmog's Hex Drinker and the... I forgot the name for it already, Jason. I am that bad.
The Sightstone?
No, Yeah, the Sunfire Cape. Oh my god, how long have I been casting League of Legends?
I was laughing too hard to help.
Since the time, by the way, when you could stack Sunfire Capes. That's how easily it is to forget that name. Silly me. But Jason, talk us through like where we are in this game right now, because we've just seen another team fight that was very, very even on kills in the end, with that Karthus ulti coming down at the end. We have to say, with a Shockwave from Slayer missing completely.
We see a 10,000 gold deficit in favor against Authority, but that fight was so close that it didn't even seem like it was there anyways. Like you just said, a Shockwave missed. It probably would turn the fight around completely in against Authority's favor, but how the game started against Authority, they were bashing heads against Gambit. They were holding on. They were being really aggressive in the jungle. Then they had to play really defensive because Gambit got like a nice team fight in. They were able to pick up a couple of kills. I believe even the ace. So they're playing defensive, but then they got a couple of really good engages. It turned the game around a little bit for them. They were able to, catch back up in gold, and now they're on the aggression. They want to go into the team of Gambit. They know they'll be able to win these fights, but Alex has his ultimate up yet again, and that's going to cause a major problem.
Well, it all comes down to one fight now. I talked about that approaching 40 minutes. We're now approaching 50 minutes into this game, as we are going to see Darren here getting hit by the hook. Can they lock him down as the wild growth comes into it? He's going to go down from this one. No, now on a rampage. That surely sets against Authority up here to make the push through and make this 5 versus 4 fight happen for them.
But Joe, we saw it happen last time in a 5v4. Gambit came out ahead in that entire fight against Authority. They're going to get this turret down. Will they be able to pick up the inhibitor, though? Gambit can't go for the engage, but we see the Orion ultimate is available.
Wall of Pain comes in. Cocoon comes in against Authority. Going to back away. Are they going to try and seize the moment here and push out that top lane as well?
Well, it looks like they actually will be going for it. There's a huge stack of minions pushing over towards that side. The middle lane is going to be pushed up against Gambit very shortly. And Darian's still dead for 30 seconds. Does have his ultimate available if he wants to come in and really stop this.
Yeah, I wonder if Gambit are going to actually time a fight along with that one here as well. Virtual, of course, down to half HP as the hook lands on the minion just behind the turret. There's another Wall of Pain, which is just a crippler right now, especially if you put the put Lulu into the equation as well. You don't move very quickly with those two things hitting you. And against Authority, decide to back away. We've got 1 minute, just less than 1 minute, till that Baron comes back up.
Yes, and Joe, we should probably take a look at items just really quickly because we see something major coming out of No-No. He doesn't have boots. He's like, you know what, I don't need my boots to strut. He has his Zephyr to give him the extra movement speed. He's going full out damage right now with only the Banshee's Veil as his defensive item. He's doing a phenomenal job in carrying his team as well. 12-5 at this point, and you're just seeing how much more relaxed he is as a player with this new support dude on his side. And then you see over on the side of Gambit, Genja running Distortion. His flash, he needs it up the entire time to get away from Freddy, to get away from Virtual, not to mention the hook and the ultimate out of Shley, which is really causing them problems.
Look at the damage now. More of Malmortius finished in there for Shen, along with the Sunfire Cape, a Warmogged, and the Trinity Force. On the other side, Last Whisper added in for Renekton, along with that Spirit Visage as well. Gambit going to start Baron.
Oh, and we do see against Authority, they're going to try to stop it here, but Gambit have such a great team to take this down. They should go secure before against Authority can do anything, but we might see an engage happen right after this.
There's the Baron taken down. Diamond going to get hooked. Actually, Darien goes into the middle. Virtual going to go in there. There is the bullet time coming around as well. Shockwave still hasn't been used. Can they get it in there here finally? Slayer, though, is having a few problems, and there it is! He pulls 3 of them in. There's the Zhonya's used by Alexic. He will finally be finished off by Slayer. Diamond going low. Here comes the ultimate out of Karthus as a hook actually landed there onto Edward, but Dude will pay the price in the end. No quite low. He's going to make it rain. Double kill for Genja. Can No get away from this one? Freddy is running for his life as well. Gambit with a 3 for 1 there, and Genja is still going for this one. There's the arcane shift, but No turns around. Guardian Angel gets popped. Diamond gonna keep chasing on towards No. The lifesteal keeping him alive there, and they back completely away. Freddy and No. I have no idea how they survived that.
This is madness right now, and I have to say that fight would have gone so different if Slayer was just in a little bit more of a different position. We saw Darren, he got a perfect taunt off onto 2 members of Against Authority, but because of that, it forced Slayer to flash away, get out of it was in a really good spot, but to get out of that spot, because we saw Virtual just dive into the team of Gambit. If that would have been there, and he ulted the 4 members of Gambit in, that could have been so different, but still, we have a 11,000 gold lead now for Gambit, and yet these fights are so close right now, Joe.
Yeah, gold, we're that far on in the game, we're that far on the item builds that the gold almost isn't worth talking about anymore, because they're all getting up to those final builds. If you look at the support there, talk us through the build there from Edward.
Well, let's just say he's going for that nice amount of cooldown reductions. He's sitting at 30% right now, so quicker ultimates, quicker slows, quicker shields, speed ups. That's a perfect job for him, not to mention the healing reduction, which will be huge for No if he can get that procced onto him. He won't be able to lifesteal it back, and they'll be able to kill him quite easily.
So 52 minutes of absolute awesomeness here in week 9 of the European LCS. I'm not sure which way I'd want to say that this game's going to go, so I'm just not going to, because we've had 52 kills up until now. We've seen 3 Barons being taken. Jason, do you want to go ahead and predict what's going to happen?
No, I don't.
Good job.
But I will say this,
I will credit you on that one, because I want to as the hook lands in on towards Genja. There are only 2 of them there, though. AAA needs to be very, very careful about this one. Diamond coming in at the side. There's a lantern save. The bear coming flying back towards Thresh. And Against All Authority back out. And Genja getting hooked from a bush is one of the scariest things that can ever happen.
Yeah, but luckily for him, he was able to escape on top of that. But, you know, Joe, whichever team loses this game can come out with their heads held high, because it was a well-fought game from both sides.
I think whichever team, well, whoever wins or loses this one, they're going to be exhausted, because it's been a marathon of a game. It's had everything up until now. And Against All Authority here are still pushing up through that jungle. Diamond saying, hey, that is my jungle. I'm going to keep throwing spiders your way. Red buff has been taken by No. There are plenty of wards in there from both sides. There's 2 oracles right now, 1 on No, 1 on Slayer, the 2 champions which you'd expect not to have the oracles until you get to 55 minutes almost into the game. Against All Authority now are going to be looking at an inhibitor turret here, a second inhibitor turret possibly of the game for them, as the inhibitor in the middle does in fact respawn. There's Dio taking a bit of damage from Alexic.
Those shields, though, wow, he pretty much took nothing because of that. But I have to say, Joe, this should be the last fight of the game if it happens.
I've been thinking that for the last 3 fights, though, to be honest. That's how far we've been going in this one. They've just been so close, that's the thing. No one's been able to really make a massive impact after they've picked up those kills. There's Darren just protecting the bottom lane. Against All Authority, look like they might want to get rid of that inhibitor again.
And they have every right to. I mean, they pretty much can go in there without worry, but they are going to be heading over towards the bottom side of the map, still denying jungle away. But we see, I mean, pretty much every summoner, every ultimate is available for both sides of this entire game. And it's going to be such an explosive fight when we do see it finally happening. But Against Authority, they're going to back out. They have a nice amount of gold to spend for each person, and they're going to come head first. Oh gosh, Genja almost catching him right there. But they're going to come back head first in a major team fight.
And you see that just in the bottom left on the player cams, Freddy's face has got progressively closer to the screen of things have got on. This is such a high focus match now from both of them. Gambit, now earlier on today, took 1st place in the league. Even if they lose this one, ironically, they'd still be 1st place because of EG taking down Fnatic. They'd be actually tied on the same statistics after that one. So really, really important game from both sides. Against All Authority have come flying out of the blocks here today. We're now 55 minutes into it, and they are starting to push up this middle lane.
This is a really key point right now. Genja's Guardian Angel will be up in about a minute and a half. If they can fight before that's available, they will have a straight 5-on-5 team fight, not allowing to get back in. and this might be the time for them to go for that, as they're still being a little hesitant, but you have every right to be so. You're 55 minutes in. If you die, that's 70 seconds, and one team will be able to push it down to the victory.
Yeah, they know what it means now to lose a team fight, and it means another loss in the LCS here in Week 9, and they're so close to pulling off an upset at this stage of things. Baron number 432 is coming up here in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Who's going to take that one? I've got no idea, but we know that they will contest it.
Yes, they will, and it's just to see who can get in the right position at the right time, who can catch the other team out of position to really start that entire engage, because it comes down to, against Authority, if they can land that ball in the right spot, if Virtual can be in the center of the team, they will just destroy Gambit. They're trying to bait them in here, but Baron not up for another minute. This might work a minute later, but right now it's kind of just them wasting their time, as Gambit's not really going to do that. They're not going to face check a bush at this point.
You'd hope not. I mean, they've got utilities to sort of just one single Karthus lay waste in there will say, oh, that was a trap set up for us, so let's not do that one. Schleyer here forced to go to that bottom lane to stop the pushing wave coming out there. And no, right now he's going to take his red buff. So getting all the power that they possibly can before this Baron comes back into play here with 45 seconds to go. Even a red elixir picked up by Thresh.
Yeah, that just shows against Authority, they want to go for the win. They want to use everything they possibly can, and not to mention, gives a little bit extra damage, gives them that extra health, which is going to help out quite a bit. But you know how many souls he has at this point? 112 right now, 159 armor, 124 magic resist. He is very tanky for a support at this point, and he needs to be, since he needs to be in the middle of the team to either help facilitate that ball or help have Virtual do it.
Oh, there's the hook being thrown out towards that bush, blindly that one as well. As they now jockey for position here around a Baron, which is coming up in 10 seconds time. Will Gambit decide to push towards that middle lane, or will they actually come back? That's a very interesting point right now, because if one team goes for Baron, the other can push middle. That's how far we are in.
And I think they're definitely going to try to push down mid lane. They want to fight more out here than in the jungle or over towards Baron. Actually, both teams don't really want to fight at Baron unless you're the one that's not in the pit. But Gambit, they're just trying to play the way they know. They're trying to just force them to react to the way Gambit's playing. And, you know, we've been on the other side of the map, on Gambit's side of the map, pretty much the last 10 minutes. But this is the first time it's finally been at that midpoint. And that just shows you how serious each team is taking this and how much they don't want to lose. They want this win. They've worked so hard for it.
There is a hook just flashing by. Alexich's wall of pain had slowed everybody down. We've got Baron live, Dragon, who no one really cares about at this stage. 10 seconds to come into play for that as well, but against all Authority and Gambit, both focus here on what could be a final Baron. I'm not going to say it with too much optimism in terms of that front, because I never quite know when is the last Baron in a game so intense as this one, as the blue buff is finally going to be picked up there in the end by Schleyer. Alexich there with an Oracle of his own, just going to be clearing out. That's how much cash they've got right now, that everyone can be picking Oracles up.
But right now, Alex doesn't have blue buff. He needs this blue. We do see them going for Baron right now. They can take it extremely quickly, but they're trying to bait against Authority, and Freddy gets caught.
Freddy gets caught, bullet time comes in, it's not perfect, they managed to get Edward flung back into it there. The fight is broken up as the box goes down from Thresh, and against all Authority, disengaged, No getting caught there in the cocoon, but they turn around on towards Diamond, Genja getting hooked up, Alexich trying to get in the middle, the shockwave was brilliant again, but Alex is gonna Zonya right on top of Virtual, and that will be a 1-for-0, but for how long as the Karthus ulti comes in there, Darian picks up the kill onto No, and it's now 3 kills for nothing here, as Darian is still pushing in here on towards Schleyer. He's super tanky, he's got a load of damage, and he's got Diamond in there to help him finish it off. That's 4 kills, and surely the game for Gambit.
Great job by Gambit right there. Darian to go in there and not let Schleyer live. If he would have escaped, he easily could have picked up 2 or 3 kills right here and probably turned the game around. GGs are being called out, but Gambit are going to be the victor of this, and a 59-minute long game, one of the longest of LCS so far, but amazing game from both teams.
An hour-long game here. Congratulations to Gambit on that incredible win there. You see the sighs of relief coming out from Gambit, and as I said, a very mentally draining game for both teams in this one. Gambit already faced a real struggle, and there you see No, as I predicted, he is still smiling after that one, and I tell you what, against all Authority for their position in the league here, can be very proud of what they've achieved in that match against Gambit. That's it for us for this game at the Castanes. We're going to go over to Demon and Quickshot, who have got a lot to break down after that cracker of a game.
Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad I wasn't casting that one because I definitely would have been in trouble with my employers because, frankly, that was a bonkers game, and I may well have said a few things I would have regretted because, frankly, a 59-minute, 22-second game. Absolutely crazy match, 27-29. And, you know, the fact that both these teams said back and forth, GG, everybody was saying in chat, they actually meant it. It was a genuine good game between the two teams.
That game went against all expectations because nobody was thinking that AAA were going to come out that strong. The team fights were fantastic. The individual plays were fantastic. We were talking about, like, MVPs and saying who stood out.
We didn't know what to do.
Every single player in that game had talking points which were blowing people's minds because it was great play. At the end, though, a couple of whiffed ultimates in that very last fight. That's what cost him the game.
Yeah.
If AAA had landed their ultimates in the river near Baron at that 59 minutes, they may have been able to pick up the win.
Joe's just fanning himself down right now. We're going to have to get some extra temperature gauges to try and sort him out. Some sort of women to come out and waft him down. You know, he's nothing but the best for Joe Miller here. It's
Scatman Joe needs some fans.
Yes, I don't know where that one came from. I think he was going towards Scatman John, of course, rather than the other meaning that could well go that way. We don't want to go down that route. So we had some fantastic replays for you, but really, it's all about the first blood that never was.
Okay, first of all, let's talk about the opening minutes of the game. This was a very long game. Let's remind everybody how this played out. First blood took a long time to get there. It was around about 9 minutes on the clock. But before that, we've seen Spider-Man, or better known as Diamond Prox, escaping so many times in the release. Let's jump into the replay right now, which is at 6 minutes on the clock. Virtual has some really good presence on the map. He was playing all over. He had some very aggressive wards, and he actually manages to catch Diamond out. I've kept the HUD up for a very good reason, because I want you to keep very close attention here to Diamond Prox. He gets caught up by Virtual, takes the damage, and I'm going to pause it right here because he does get munched. The Frenzy goes down. His HP is 5 hit points. Watch the flash here from Virtual coming in, and Diamond Prox immediately, he repels the last auto attack.
The paw is there, and he goes up.
He repels the paw and says, nope, not this time, and manages to get away. A few minutes later, he does a very similar escape on the blue buff of Against All Authority. He lands off to the rappel, insta-flashes away. I have never seen reaction speed that good. I've seen people dodge Malphite ultis, and that is nothing in comparison to getting away from 3 members of AAA. Brilliant play from Diamond Prox.
Absolutely amazing. Proving why he's probably the best jungler in the world, and his reactions seem superhuman almost, as it were. But it's really all about the team fight. So let's set this one up. They'd already caught Darien out. It was a 4v5. It was around about the 34-minute mark, I think it is, something around there. But it was basically a 4v5 setup for Against All Authority. They had the man advantage. They should have won it.
Yeah, that's so true. So in order to set up this next replay, we need to understand that they managed to catch out Daring in the bottom lane. So they picked up a kill, right? But that was only because he was trying to control the game. The team fights have been so back and forth up until that point. Gambit were on the back foot. They were trying to figure out, how do we deal with this mostly French team? Because we have no idea how to force them to surrender in this game. And Darien was just trying to push the lane. Let's jump into the replay here so you can see just how close this is. 15-10 in kills, 40 minutes on the clock, 5k goal difference. Are we going to start this playing off? I'll slow it down as the engagement happens, but one of the key problems here is that Against All Authority are split up. You have Schleyer and Dude sitting in the mid lane. Their focus is on Alex. The rest of the team are focusing here around Gambit. Now, keep very close attention to Edward. He first of all delays the team with that wild growth. Hangs around in the back, and he's going to land a glitter lance here onto Schleyer and Dude, preventing them getting into the engagement. And this is where Against All Authority lost a little bit of the plot, because they weren't 100% sure what to do, where to go. And you've got Edward playing the perfect support role and running interference. The rest of Gambit, they managed to land a good number of abilities, and Dude lands an awesome hook. He goes in aggressive, but look at the flasher from Alex. He flashes the shockwave. As he sees it coming in, instantly gets past, and manages to continue dealing damage from beyond the grave as he gets taken out. Schleyer, he pops an early Zhonya's Hourglass, and it cost him his life. And it literally just came down to the fact that Against All Authority was split up, and Edward ran perfect interference there to keep them split as a 3v2 and just allowed them to win that 4 versus 5, even though, you know, they were a man down.
And you should point out the Zhonya's was, of course, used just dodged that last lay waste that came down. He would have died to the lay waste, but he went down to, of course, the Requiem nevertheless. But absolute amazing, amazing game. Of course, you know, we've got to give an MVP, despite the fact he could have been anyone. It could have been anyone. You know, if Against All Authority would have won it, we could have had Slayer, we could have had No. We weren't too sure which to go. And then we were like, well, they might not win this one yet. And yeah, like you say, Freddy, because Freddy was the man that was always going in there. He had that big ball on his head, and he was going in. The Crocodile was going so deep. But it's Gambit we have to give it to, really, because they won the game. So we're going to go give with Genja, of course, as the MVP for Gambit. And wow, I mean, honestly, we really probably could have given it to anyone in that game.
You could have picked any player because every single one of them had fantastic plays. But overall, Genja, his itemization, his positioning, and his control of the fights. Every time a fight broke out, he was there to clean it up afterwards, and he was chasing. He lost 1 or 2 little trades with No, but those trades that he lost, he had Guardian's Angel, so he didn't actually give away unnecessary deaths. Well played to the AD carry from Gambit, and a well-deserved MVP.
So it's 18-5 now for Gambit. They've really, 18-4 I should say, actually, tell a lie, 18-4, cementing their victory at the top there. Very, very close to going 17-5, along with Fnatic, of course, who lost early on in the day to Evil Genius. There's another fantastic game there, but we are going to head over to the stage with Shox, who's going to finally get an interview with Alex Ich.
Thank you very much. I'm here with both Alex Ich and Diamond. First off, a question for you, Alex. In the pre-interview, you said Against All Authority is one of the weakest teams. Probably won't have that much trouble with them, in hindsight.
Okay, I was wrong. No, they are really good at the moment. Like, they really timed all our buffs and were coming to buffs 5-man. So most of the time we were not in position and they just took it. And their comp was really good, and I don't think that we should leave them or Thresh or MF, because both these heroes got huge impact to the game. But we know our mistakes, so I don't really know if it's 4 games against them or 3. But next time, I hope our game will go much better.
Okay. From your perspective, Diamond, in the beginning, there were a lot of times where you just got away. How did you experience that early game?
В начале игры ты очень часто уходил на очень маленький ХП. Как это повлияло на игру?
Да никак не повлияло, собственно. Все было, в принципе, спланировано. Я даже знал, что Валибер в тех кустах, когда фейсчекал его. Просто пожалел маны. Бывает. Второй раз на синем бафе у них не было ни шанса меня забрать, потому что там была и ульта Шена, которая, кстати, немного запоздала. Но, в принципе, никакого влияния это не решило. К тому же они потратили очень много суммонерок на то, чтобы меня попытаться добить. Ну и отдали тогда синий баф, так что они были в минусе.
So it doesn't really affect early game at all, because both times he knew that he will survive. Like, maybe in first time it was shaky, but in the second time he knew that he got Lulu ultimate and Shen ultimate that was a bit late, and they still lost the blue buff. They lost a lot of summoners to try killing him, so it was even an advantage to our side at that moment.
For you personally, Alex, getting very strong towards that late game, but you knew that if you get locked up by a Shockwave and a Misfortune ult, it's practically over. So how did you strategize against that then?
So most of the time, like, that combo worked on me only when I got caught by Thresh. So after 1 or 2, I think 1 time I got caught by that, I decided that I shouldn't get Thresh hooks. So, and I got like Zhonya's, but still, I just stayed behind. Then their front line was coming. I was trying to kill it with Genja and then try to help my team. And in the last team fight, I got really perfect position. I could just flash in to the MF. I still died, but then we killed the MF and like game ended.
Okay, Diamond, you're looking very good in the All-Star vote, but how do you think Europe will perform at the All-Star game?
Diamond, ты в голосовании сейчас на первом месте. Как ты думаешь, Европа выступит на All-Stars матче?
Я думаю, Европа без проблем выиграет своих американских оппонентов, но с азиатами будут огромные проблемы. Я, правда, знаю только практически один состав корейцев, и он гораздо сильнее европейского.
So there's a huge chance of Europe winning an A. Like Diamond says that it should be really easy, but Europe, like, there are really low chances of winning Asian teams, and like, he knows only Korean lineup. He still thinks that all the Asian teams will be really strong.
Okay. Thank you very much, Diamond and Alex. Now, what a day here. And in our last match of the day, number 7 and 8 in the standings take each other on. Dragonborns and Giants both have their backs against the wall, so they'll come out fighting after the break.